as far as the data that is measured either on interval scale or ratio scale is concerned. So one scale is the interval scale and other one is the ratio scale. And we started our discussion of statistics discussing all those scales. So they were the initial lectures. If you remember, we discussed about the scales. So as far as the interval and ratio scales are concerned, in order to describe them, we need to describe two things. Where is the center of that data set? And we covered all those tools which we use to find the center of a data set. Mean either it can be arithmetic mean, it can be median, it can be margin. So these all tools, they tell about the center. And another thing you need to know is the dispersion. So it's dispersion. So the second thing is always the dispersion. While in case of nominal scale and the ordinal scale, the only descriptive statistics is their proportions. They do not have any specific center and they do not have the dispersion. So for example, if you have a data that is measured on nominal scale, one example of that data is male and female. So how we describe that data set is the only thing we can do. We cannot calculate the arithmetic mean, we cannot calculate the median, we cannot calculate the margin, because the data is measured on nominal scale, and that also applies very much to the ordinal scale as well. I'm repeating it again and again. The only statistics you can apply is the proportions. Only descriptive statistics. These are described only through proportions. So how you can tell that data, for example, if I have 33 female in my data set and I have another 20 as male, and if I was going to ask you that calculate the arithmetic mean, there is no way you can calculate the arithmetic mean. If I will ask you about calculate the median, you cannot calculate the median. If I will going to ask you calculate the mod, you cannot calculate the mod because they are not applied. The only way you can tell is the proportion, that okay, what fraction of applicants they are female and what fraction of applicants they are male. So it will be 33 divided by the grand total, that will be 53. So at the end of the day, you will get a data something like, let's suppose 60% of the applicants they are male, remaining 40% they are female, maybe it's 53 to 43, and that's how we describe them. So please, it's a reminder again and again that for nominal scale and the ordinal scale, the only descriptive statistics is the proportion. There is nothing else. But the data that is measured on interval scale or the ratio scale, interval scale, you know the prominent example that if you have a data of temperature. So both the interval scale and the ratio scale, the data is continuous and there is a quantitative data. So ratio scale, it can be body weight, height, anything, and you know all those examples. It's very, very much challenging to write. So for example, body weight and the temperature. So how you can describe them? You have to describe them through the center as well as through dispersion. Why it's not enough to just tell about the center? I will try to explain it by using an example. And I will going to have a just blank slide. Let me, so that you will be able to understand this. Because when you will going to tell about the center, the information is always incomplete. And when you only describe about the center, for example, I'm giving you an example of data that where we have the readings of temperature. So my data one is, let's suppose it's like this. One day it was 30 degrees Celsius. On another day it was 35. On a third day it was 40. That is data one. And let's suppose I have another data set that is different from my initial data set. I am just writing a very few observations because it's difficult to write for me using that mouse. So let's suppose I have a data like this. My one observation is 36, another observation is 35, my third observation is 34. And if you describe both of these data sets by only through center and you use only one tool, there is no extreme value in this data set. So the values, they are more or less within the range. So the most suitable tool to tell the center is to calculate the arithmetic mean. And how we calculate the arithmetic mean? We need to sum all of these values and then divide it by total number of values. So it will be like 30 plus, so as this is a sample data, so I will going to represent it by X bar. So how I will going to, it will be 30 plus 35 plus 40, and then how many total number of observations I have? I have only 3 observations. So it will be 40 plus 35, that will be 75. 75 plus 30, that will be equal to 105. So my grand total will be 105, and now I need to divide it by 3. So what's my arithmetic mean here? I will have an arithmetic mean of 35. So the center of this data set is 35. And I have another data set, and if I were going to calculate the arithmetic mean of my second data set, so it will be like this: X bar is equal to 36 plus 35 plus 34, and I just need to divide by 3. And then if I just use all things, my grand total once again will be 105, and that will be divided by 3. So I will going to get an arithmetic mean that is, once again, is 35. Do you think these two data sets, they are identical? Just answer me. Any volunteer?
No, sir.
But once I use only the center tool to describe that data set, that telling me that, okay, these both data sets, they are identical. So I will fail to discriminate between two data sets, although these two data sets, they are very, very different. For example, I just add another 2 values to both data sets. So for example, I add a value of, let's suppose 36. I have another observation that is 60. And here I have 2 observations that are added to this data set, 30 and 30. I just need to make it a little bit simple. So let's suppose I will going to add another observation of title of 15. So, and then so let's suppose I add another observation of data set of 15, and then if I will going to have another observation of, let's suppose I just add 4 values to this data set, so it will be 40, and then I have another value of 11. And even if on one data set I just add another 3 to 4 observation, and on another data set I add only 1 or 2 observations that are different, still I can, if I my grand total and my deviation, and I can get an identical arithmetic mean. So the only purpose is to tell you that if you just use the center to tell that data set, maybe 2 different data set, they have exactly the same center. So maybe one data set is very, very small, and another data set, it's a huge data set. But still, both these 2 data sets, they can have the same center. And if you just describe your data set only using the center, that may appears to be identical, and you fail to discriminate between the data set. Do you think it's useful? Do you think the information is complete?
Sir, if it's telling the center, what's the problem? That we want the center.
If you are just looking for the center, when it comes to the description, you have to describe each and everything. I told you that gives a complete information about that data set. The information must require to be complete. So you do not know how much the information is dispersed when you tell only the center. And here with this example, if you use only the center for description, and you do not use anything else, that is telling you that these both things, they are same. Although there is no problem just telling the center, but even when you will go into tell the center, still the information is not complete. The only purpose for all that explanation is that information is not complete. So I just used an example, and I just created all that kind of stuff, and at the end of the day I have the same center. So if I use nothing else, what I will going to tell my reader, that data set 1 has the center 30 at 35, and data set 2 has a center at 35, and that's all over. And what the reader will going to get an idea from this, if the reader has only this information, that the center of data set 1 is 35 and the center of data set 2 is 35, what the reader will going to get from this, that both data sets, they are identical, and both data sets, they are equal. Another way to say this, that both data sets, they are uniform, and from this, as you have access to the raw data set, can you see both data sets, they are identical?
No, sir, they are not identical.
Do you think they are equal?
No.
They are uniform?
No.
That means the only purpose for all that explanation is that it's not enough to just describe data set by using the center. Rather, if you want to describe the data set, you have to give the information, one information that is about the center, and another information that is very, very much required and is equally important is that you need to tell that how much the information is being dispersed. And once you will going to give these 2 information, you tell your reader about the center of your data set, and you tell your reader that how much the information is dispersed. In that case, the information is complete. Just remember my previous example that when I started discussing all that stuff, and I told you that at any time when you need to describe your set yourself, if anyone has to approach you and will be able to know about you, you just need to give two information. One is about the center and other one is that how much the information is dispersed. Because I told you that it's possible that maybe the center of a department is also identical to the center of your city. Maybe the center of department is identical to the center of your university, but the size of university is huge and the department is only a one fraction of that institute. So just telling the center, the information is incomplete. When you need to describe your data set, you have to describe the center as well as how much the information is dispersed. Is it clear?
Yes, sir, I got it.
Any question? Is it clear to everyone?
So when we find out the center with a tool, we find the dispersion at the same time from the same tool.
No, we have different tools for dispersion. You use the same data set, and first you need to tell use a tool to find out the center, and then you need a tool to find out the dispersion and for the same data set. So they are two different things. One is we have different tools to measure the center. The tool to measure the center are arithmetic mean, median, and mode. While the tools to find out the center, the most frequently used tool to find out the center is the one is the variance, another one is standard deviation, third one is range. Is it clear?
सर अगर जो टूल्स हम उसके लिए यूज़ कर रहे हैं सेंटर के लिए, वो अगर हमें डिस्पर्शन का नहीं बता रहे, तो हमने सिर्फ सेंटर फाइंड आउट कर लिया है, तो डिस्पर्शन डिफरेंट टूल से करना है, तो फिर व्हाट्स द प्रॉब्लम?
There is no problem. The only purpose is to tell you that at any time when you need to describe your data set, if you want a complete description, the description of any data set cannot be completed without dispersion. Why I just opened that issue? Because many people just show the average. Average mean arithmetic mean. And that is very, very common practice by the biologists, that they show the arithmetic mean and they claim everything on the basis of that mean. And they give no information about the dispersion. And they start developing their argument. They develop everything and they speak about everything, and then they just tell about the center. And for me, if they just describe the center and then they keep on telling everything else and do not give any information about the dispersion, for me the information is incomplete. You never ever completely describe your data set, because that's the practice by so many biologists, that they only tell the center and then claim everything. For example, I can give you an example. They are testing two medicine A and medicine B. I just need to create another, and that's a practice, and I frequently disagree with all that stuff. And I'm using, give me a, for example, this is a data set of medicine A, and they are looking for how many days a person takes to recover. So medicine A, so number of days, it's always a continuous data. You can say it number of hours. So medicine A is like 5 days, and then maybe they have another reading like 6 day, they have third reading like 7. They have one reading like 6 days, the second reading is 11, and their fourth reading is 4, third reading is 4. So first volunteer was recovered after 5 days, the second volunteer was recovered about 6 days, and the third volunteer was recovered after 4 days. And then they trialed the medicine too. One person, it recovered after 1 day. Another person, let's suppose, it recovered after 3 days. And the third person, it recovered after 11 days. So what's the average recovery day? So 6, 4, 10, and 15. 15 divided by 3, that will be 5. And what's the recovery of medicine? Average recovery of medicine 2. It will be 11 plus 3, 14, and 14 plus 1, that is also 15, but divided by 5, that will be equal to 5. So the average of medicine A is also equal to the average of medicine B. And they just tell this data set, and they calculate the average, and then they start claiming that the medicine A is equal to the medicine B. Do you think it's true? Although they have the same average.
No, sir, the time differs.
Mean the medicine 1 is more consistent as compared to medicine 2.
Yes.
So they just claim, and then they start claiming about everything that, okay, they have the same, they are identical, they give equal recovery rate, so you can use any of medicine. That is by so many young biologists. So that's from my field, that normally I get a data from health section. So as just when I'm introducing the statistics to you, I'm just stressing it a lot that whenever you have a data that is measured on interval scale or the ratio scale, and you want to describe that data set, describe it by 2 ways. One, it's a compulsion to tell about the center. Another compulsion is also to tell about the dispersion. Is it clear now?
Yes, it's clear. Thank you.
So second component of descriptive statistics is the dispersion. Dispersion tells us that how much variation there is how much variation is present in any data set. How much the values it spreads. For example, if this is on a scale, so that is 1, and that is maybe it's 60, 50, it can be anything. So the concept of dispersion is that how much the values they spread. Are they are spreading on a large, or there are very little variations there, or maybe there is a possibility that you do not have any variation. So you are required to tell your reader about the variation. It's a compulsion. It's very, very important. And what's the objectives of the dispersion is that it tells us about the reliability. It tells us about the variability, and it enables us to compare 2 groups. And you can compare more than 2 groups. And I gave you an example of medicine A and medicine B. If you use only the center, it will tell you they are uniform, but actually they are not uniform. So it facilitates the comparison. And secondly, where we are interested in, we can use certain tools of dispersion in our further statistical analysis, like inferential statistics, and we're going to discuss later on. So what's the prominent tools to tell about the center? Range is one way to tell about the center. Another way is through standard deviation. The third way is through through coefficient of variation, quartile deviation, and coefficient of quartile deviation. These are different tools we use. But the most prominently used tool in statistics for the dispersion is the range. Another tool is the standard deviation, and the third tool is the variance. And these three prominent tools. So we're going to start with the range. So you can describe the dispersion of your data set by using the range. And it's very easy to calculate. It's a quick method. So you just need to use only two scores. One is the smallest score and other one is the largest score. And here I have an example like if I have a data like this 35, 2, 35, 36, 42, 42, 43, 43, and 45. That data is already being sorted in ascending order because I did not want to waste the time. So if you have data like this, in the first step, what you need to do that the sort that entire data set into the ascending order. And you can use the descending order as well. It's all up to you. So once the data is being sorted, first you need to how to calculate the range. The formula to calculate the range is that it's the maximum value minus minimum value. You just need to subtract the minimum value from maximum value, and that will give the detail about the range of that data set. So here in this data set, my maximum value was 45 and my minimum value was 32. And when the minimum value was subtracted from the maximum value, I get a range of 13. So what the range is telling us that this data set has a variation of 13 units. Is it clear? Very, very easy. It's a single step stuff. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
When it comes to the advantages of the range, the first thing is that it's a very, very simple calculations. Just look for the maximum value and then you just need to look for the minimum value. And then you just need to subtract the minimum value from maximum value and you will going to get the range. Very easy. One huge advantage of the range. The second advantage that it tells you about the overall variation. That how much the data is being dispersed. Do you see any limitation of range where range fails? Is there any limitation of range?
So it's just telling us about
electrical stability. Yes.
So it's just telling us about the dispersion among the minimum value and the maximum value. It's not telling us about in between those values.
So it gives us an overall variation, but it does not. So it uses only. You are absolutely correct in this regard that it uses only either it uses the maximum value and my minimum value, and it gives no information about what's in between them. So I can generate a data set that has identical minimum value and I may have an identical maximum value, but in between them I may have a very different values. But still, just look at it. If that section in between them, if that is being replaced by like this, that if every other value is 45. So all these values, it's a repetition of 45, still my range will be same. If my all values, they are 32 and one value is 45, still my range will be same. So as it use only two values to decide one is the minimum value and the maximum value, we cannot use that range in our further statistical analysis. That's the biggest limitation of the range. Although very, very easy to calculate, but we cannot use that range as it do not use each and every value. We cannot use that range in our further statistical analysis. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And although we haven't discussed so many things about haven't discussed anything about the inferential statistics, but for a very limited period of time, you know that we need inferential statistics when we have the sample and we need to decide about the population. So as range has its own limitation, so we have another tool to find out the dispersion, and that tool we name it as standard deviation. Thus, so it's standard deviation. And how it defines standard deviation? We define standard deviation as average dispersion of observations from the center. Another way to say it, that is the average dispersion of observation from mean. Average, although it's not appropriate to use the word deviation, but somewhere in the literature you also see a word like this, that is the average deviation of observations from the mean. That's standard deviation. Average dispersion of observation from the center, or average deviation of observation from the center. So what's the formula to find up for the standard deviation? We just need to start we need to develop, as you are all biologists, so you do not have lots and lots of understanding of mathematics and all that too. So we just need to practice this if you want to clear that concept. So average dispersion of the observation from the mean. So as I have already discussed average or arithmetic mean, how we calculate the arithmetic mean? Anyone knows the definition of arithmetic mean?
Sum of all the values divided by total number of the values.
So the definition of arithmetic mean is sum of all observation divided by total number of observations. That's the arithmetic mean. So the only purpose is to tell you that at any time when you need to calculate the average, in the first step, you just need to add all those observations, and then you need to divide it by total number of observations. So as it is average dispersion of observations from the center, so instead of summation x, how we calculate the dispersion? Make it simple. How we calculate the dispersion? Let's suppose I will going to enter only, for example, if any of my observation is 45 and my center, I already know the average, so it's 32. So however, I will going to calculate the dispersion of this observation from the center. So that 32 is my center. So I'm just using a single observation. The only way to calculate the dispersion, how much that value is being dispersed, that I just need to subtract the center from that observation. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
That's how it works. So as I just used an example, I already declared that my observation is number is 45 and my center is 32. So instead of that 32, I just represent the symbol of mean. Is it okay for you?
Sir, I didn't hear it.
Instead of using the number 32, I just represent it by x bar or mean.
Yes, sir, that's fine.
And if the observation is any observation, so any observation is being represented by x. So in order to find the dispersion of any observation, the formula will be x minus x bar. That will be dispersion of any observation from the mean. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So that section of formula is being completed. Dispersion of observation from the center. So that section of formula, deviation of observation from the mean, that section of formula is being completed by just x minus x bar. The only thing that is left is the average. And you know that if you want to calculate the average, you just need a sign of summation. So that will be sum of, that tells you that add every observation. Add the dispersion of every observation. And then in the next step, you just need to divide it by total number, n. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
I think it's now the formula will not be challenging for you. That summation x minus x bar divided by n, that x minus x bar refers to the dispersion of any observation from the mean, and in order to get the average, I just need summation and then I need to divide it by n. But when you will going to look in the books or the literature for the formula of standard deviation, you will going to see a formula like this. What I have told you, that what we calculated from the, what we have calculated by just looking at the definition of standard deviation, it was like so when we use the definition to calculate it, we get a formula like this. Normally there are different symbols when we have a standard deviation, either is from the sample or the population. So we represent the standard deviation of the sample by S. So if data is from the sample, you have to use the symbol S. So that tells the source of data is either it is belonging to the population or it's a data of sample, because we calculate the dispersion both for sample as well as the population. So it's only a difference of symbol that is telling your reader that the source is either the source is population or either the source is sample, and that's nothing else. So symbol plays nothing else but just give an information to the reader that it's either it's a population source or it's a sample source. So the symbol in case of population is the sigma. So I am writing the word sigma. So you can search that symbol sigma. It's a horrible way to represent the sigma. So let's suppose I'm just dealing with population. So I will have to represent like this: sigma is equal to, sigma refers to the standard deviation of the population. So it will be x minus x bar, that is dispersion of any observation, and then I just need to sum it and then divide it by total number. That will be n. So here I use the symbol x bar. X bar represent the sample mean. So normally the population mean is being represented by mu. So I will going to replace it by mu. So that's nothing else. That's just a change of symbol, because the population mean is being represented by the mu, while sample mean is represented by x bar. So if your data source is population, so here you will going to have the sigma and here you will have the mu, and that just change of symbols to represent the source of data set. It has nothing to do with calculation. The calculations will more or less remain same. Is it true? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So this is the formula we have generated by when we just look at the definition, and then from the definition we try to generate that formula, and this is some we have generated. But at any time when you will going to look for the formula, you will going to see in the literature a formula like this: summation x minus x bar square divided by capital N, and then you will going to see under root around everything. Why it's complicated and why it's different? Because when you look for the average dispersion, the average dispersion cannot be anything else that dispersion of any observation, and then you just need to sum it and then you divide it by total number. But in the literature you will going to see a formula like this: summation x minus x bar square divided by n, and then you have an under root around everything. So what they have done, that they have squared it and then they have under root it. What's the purpose of doing all that stuff? You will not going to see this formula anywhere in the literature. Why? Just feel comfortable and just try to answer it using your background, whatever background you have, logic, arguments.
Sir, square और under the root आपस में कट जाएगा.
And why they have practiced this? No? What was the objective of doing all that thing? I absolutely agree that square and under root, they can be cancelled, but they are not cancelling it them. You have couple of minutes. Any volunteer? It's a call to everyone. Thank you. ठीक है, thank you. You have 1 minute to think on this. The formula must require to be like this, and why we have a formula everywhere in the literature like this. Once again, I use the symbol x bar, mu x bar, it must be mu if the data is from the population. Any volunteer? There are 50 people there who are listening, hopefully. They haven't left their computers and go somewhere else. Roll number 18. Roll number 54. Roll number 29. Roll number 50. These are unlucky people who are visible on my screen. Roll number 22. Roll number 3. Any volunteer? Lost call. And then I will going to explain. There is no problem with the formula, but we have a mathematical limitations linked to it. How I define the mathematical limitation is like this, that mathematics is failed to solve that issue to this point. That's why, because of those mathematical limitations, because we have to use the mathematics to calculate all those things, and as the mathematics failed to answer solution to this, and although they have a solution to it, first scare it and then underroot it, but we cannot use it directly because of the limitation of mathematics, and I will tell you right now. For example, if my data set is like this, let's suppose my x, I have 3 observations in that data set. My first observation is 3, my second observation is 5, and my third observation is 7. What will be my mu? Or if this data set is from the population, and I have a very small population that only includes 3 individuals, and those 3 individuals, they have one is 3, and second one is 5, and the third one is 7. So what will be the mu? Mu is nothing. 15 divided by
3.
Sum of all observations divided by total number of observations, that will be 15 divided by 3, and my mu will be 5. Is it okay?
Yes.
7 plus 5, 12 plus 3, that is 15. 15 refers to sum of all observations, and then I need to divide by total number of observations. 15 divided by 3, my total number is always 3. I have 3 observations here, so that will be equal to 5. So my mu is 5. So when I need to do x minus mu, I have to do it for every observation. So it will be x minus mu, that is 3 minus 5. And then I have another observation 5. Sorry, it's 5. I do not know how I need to. Okay. 5 minus 5. And I have to do it for my third observation 7 minus 5. So what I will going to get here? Minus 2. And then here I will going to get 0. And here it's telling me that it's plus 2. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
And in the next stage of formula, I just need to sum all of them. So here I will have the summation. So summation x minus mu is equal to 2 plus 0 minus 2. What will be the grand sum?
0, 0.
So it's telling me if I will going to describe that section of my formula, it's sum of dispersion of all observation. Is it true? X minus x bar refers to the dispersion of any observation and summation refers to sum. So sum of dispersion of all observation, that's this is the section of formula. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So that will be summation x minus mu. That is the sum of dispersion of all observation. X minus mu refers to the dispersion of any observation and sum refers to. So what's it telling me? That sum of dispersion of all observation is equal to 0. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
Although mathematically, when I do mathematical calculations, it's telling me that sum of dispersion of all observation is equal to 0. Do you think every observation is on the center? How it can be 0? One observation is 3, another is 5, and the third one is 7. 3 is dispersed from the mean by 2 unit. 7 is dispersed from mean by 2 unit, and 5 is dispersed from the mean right on the center. So it's not dispersed at all. But the calculations is telling me that none of them is dispersed from the mean, because it uses these signs of minus and plus, and we cannot just ignore all that mathematics, because we need to use the formula of mathematics. But it's a mathematical trick that from the formula, whatever data we will have, at the end of the day, when we at any time when you will going to directly sum x minus mu, sum of dispersion of all observation, whenever we do it directly, at every time where we will going to get a value of 0. Because the minus signs, they will going to neutralize the positive signs, positive values. And at the end, whatever data you will going to do, I want you to practice with so many data set. At every time you will going to get a value of 0, but the dispersion is not 0. And we cannot ignore these symbols, and we cannot ignore the mathematical rules for calculations. So when the people, they were trying to develop that formula, they said they just came across with that mathematical limitation. So at any time when you have a mathematical limitation due to these signs of minus and plus, because here when you understand the concept, 3 is dispersed by 2 units, what is telling me that 3 is 2 units less than mean, but still there are 2 units. 7 is 2 units on the higher side of the mean, still it's 2 units. And at any time when you have a mathematical limitations like this, because the dispersion is not 0, the average dispersion must be something like this. If this there it has 2, it has 0, and it has 2, overall they have 4 units dispersion, and if I were going to divide it by 4 by total number, that is 3, that must be 1 point something. So their average dispersion must be 1 point something, or their sum of dispersion must be 1 point something. So at any time when you have that kind of limitations, the mathematicians, they come up with a solution, and the solution is that first you need to scale a value. When you scale a value, every negative value will be converted to a,
It gets converted to a positive value.
Yeah, they will be converted to the positive value. And once they will be converted to the positive value, as you have scared it, and in the last section, what you need to do? Underroot it, and your problem will be solved. And you will not going to get a 0 value. So in order to overcome that mathematical limitation, we have a formula like this, where I have mentioned that formula. So it's here, which you will going to see in the literature. Summation. I am going to enter that formula in a blank slide. So the standard deviation, its symbol is mu, is equal to summation x minus mu. Mu represent the mean. Once again, it's horrible. And then you will need to square it, and then divide it by n, and overall at the end you have an under root. And if you are going to work through this, the things will be okay. So as you have a formula like this, first you need to calculate x minus mu, and then you need to square it. So here I will have another column, x minus mu, and then I just need to square it. So minus 2 square is equal to 4. 0 will remain 0, and 2 square is equal to 4. So that is referred to as sum of square deviation. Summation x minus x bar. So it's sum of x bar. It's not x bar, it's mu, because the data is from the x bar minus mu square is the square deviation, sum of square deviation of the observation, that will be equal to 4. And then in the next step, what you need to do, you just need to use that in your formula. So instead of x, summation x minus mu square is, I can replace that with the value of 4. And how many total number of observations I have here in this data set? You just need to divide by n. How many total observations I have in this data set?
3.
3. You just need to divide 4 by 3. And what you will going to get? You will going to get a value that is 1.33 under root. As you have initially squared it, so it's a average square deviation. So you just need to make it simple. So in order to just do it in the last step, you just need to under root 1.33. That will be equal to 1.15. When you are going to solve the square root. Is it difficult? In the first step, I need to ask, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions regarding this?
No, sir.
So we missed few classes due to Eid and all those stuff. So is it possible for you to take a class in the evening? Anyone who has objection or who cannot attend the class in the evening, please feel comfortable and tell me.
Sir, paper है हमारा आज.
Okay. In that case, I cannot do this. We're going to do it after your midterm exam. So if you have any questions, just feel free and ask. Secondly, if you do not want to use the mic, just you can write in the section of chat. I will wait for you for a couple of minutes and then I will going to end that meeting.